Hello everyone. I am going to be sharing the 32 things that I know for sure, given that I'm now 32. I did this video a couple years ago when I turned 30 and I thought it's about time I shared what I now know for sure as a 32-year-old woman. I have not gone back to watch what I talked about, and I didn't want to because I didn't want this to be tainted by, oh, I said that, do I still believe that? I should still add that. I didn't want any of that. So if some things sound familiar, then there's some elements to this that I feel viscerally are true and that I know for sure. And then some things will change because, people change, and now maybe I have a different understanding of life, of flavor, of excitement, of good and bad, and all of that good stuff. Right, we're gonna get started. I also want to say that Skillshare have so kindly sponsored this video. Thank you, Skillshare. Woo-hoo. And I will. I don't know if that was as loud for you as it was for me, but that was loud. But I just wanted to say I will share a little bit more about Skillshare and what they've got to offer. But I'll tell you more about that as we go along. For now, I want to start with. I've got my phone too, so that I can, because obviously I wrote this down. I've been thinking about it for a while now, and every time I feel like, oh, this is true, I want to put this down, I'll jot it down in the notes section of my phone. So I'm going to start with a thing that I think is so true that I would be shocked if I didn't talk about it when I turned 30. But it's okay when, what are all those noises? Jeez. That anything that starts with salted caramel has been created by God herself, okay? Whether that is ice cream or cake or a candle, which by the way, I've got one in the background. It's the salted butterscotch. Oh. What? Whoops, card got full. I feel like I should add to this list that, one of the things I know for sure is that I will always have a card that goes, that gets full, or that my battery will start blinking at some point as I'm filming. I know for sure that in order for me to parent at my peak, I need to address whatever traumas that I may have experienced, whether that's as a child, as an adult, because whether I recognize it or not, I will be transmitting that into my mothering. And that might be in my wanting to be overprotective or maybe pulling back too much. And so those little things that we sit with and we think, it's not a big deal, I'm just going to let it pass, that they need to be addressed. And I actually saw a quote by, I think her name is Dr. Nicole. Maureen just recently shared her page with me, and I'm now just devouring her content. And she talks about generational traumas, and I just don't think we pay enough attention to that. And I, for one, know I'm trying to understand that better, understand my traumas better, and heal so that I'm not passing that on or raising my child with the little traumas unknowingly guiding me and directing me in my motherhood journey. That pleasure is a beautiful word, and that we are all deserving of it and we are all worthy of it, because sometimes it can seem like a dirty word, or it can seem like you need to earn it by going through so much pain so that you can be worthy of pleasure. And that's something I know for sure, is that we are all worthy of pleasure because we are. And that's in whatever form that may be for you, whether that is in a beautiful bite of a burger or a piece of cake, or in a romantic relationship, or like a beautiful view, at the end of a relaxing day. Like, you deserve that. You are worthy of that. Own it. That my 30s have brought with them a lot of changes physically, my hormones, my metabolism, things done change. And I thought when people said things start to change as you get older, it would be like late 30s into your 40s. But my hormones in the last year alone, I can see how much they've changed. Have you guys seen that meme? Patricia sent this to me the other day. That meme of the girl who's lying in bed with her partner, and she goes, babe, last night when I had my foot on your foot and then you moved your leg, what did that mean? Wow, hormones. Like I find myself getting so much more emotional over things, and then after where it's usually PMS, but afterwards I'm like, what was that about? Jeez, hormones. And also just my body not changing and the way I'm used to, like being able to kind of go back to a certain way after maybe I've had a couple of weeks or maybe a month of eating badly. And I'm just like, why are things lingering? Where is this coming from? That being active is so important, and that it needs to start when we're in school and outside of sports too, so that it's not attached to a sport that you're playing in high school, and then once you get to uni or once you're working, you're not going to be in a volleyball team, in a hockey team, in a football team. But that there needs to be a way that we instill in our children how to be active throughout their life, whether that is going on walks, running, going to the gym, whatever it may be, and that it should also be accompanied by stretching. And in the same breath, so is being creative. It is so important, and I don't care if you work as an accountant and think, oh, there's no creativity in my job, or like a neuroscientist or whatever it may be that often doesn't feel as creative as, say, an illustrator or a writer. Creativity, I think, is a part of our core and a part of our being. And actually, if you have been struggling with that and you've been feeling like you're not really sure how to express that, where to start, Skillshare have a number of really good classes. I've actually noticed that, especially in the featured playlist recently, there's been a lot of classes around how to draw out your creativity, how to find it, where to start, and how to pinpoint what it is that inspires you. There's also a workshop that I saw that looked really interesting too, and I will link it in the description box specifically if you want to check that out. But if you've never heard of Skillshare, it is essentially a platform where creatives come together and they learn and they share knowledge and they expand what their talents are. And I have been working with Skillshare for a few months now. I have been using Skillshare for a while now, maybe I think 6 months. And I freaking love it. I would recommend it. It is under $10 a month if you take the 1-year subscription. But if you just want to test the waters and see if you're interested and if it's something that you'd like, then there is going to be a link in the description box which gives you a free trial of their premium membership. I think it's a great place to start. I've talked about some of the classes that I've taken. Some have been around how to keep plants alive, which frankly I need to take more classes because there's only one plant in my house that's alive at this moment. But I haven't brought more plants in. So I'm like, as soon as I do, then you can judge me as to whether the class I took actually helped. There's writing tips, there's home decor tips, there is life skills, there is trying to find your purpose and kind of hone in on what it is that you want for your life. I'm going to leave a link in the description box for you guys, and I hope that you will check it out, because going back to the idea of creativity being pivotal, I think, in fact, that's one of the traumas that you might be suffering from. I talked about earlier, like childhood traumas or traumas you've experienced as an adult. Creative traumas, and I think Elizabeth Gilbert touches on that beautifully. They're things that we live with that you don't even understand. That thing that your teacher said in high school when they were like, what kind of drawing is that? God, you should just stick to science. That can stick with you, and you might not understand how it limits you in how you express yourself, in how you see yourself too. And I think innately we all have some creativity. We all have it, and I think that's what allows us to function, to live, to express ourselves, to have fun. I think it's vital, and I think we need to be especially careful when it comes to our children and encouraging them to be as creative as they so please. Color outside of the lines, dress yourself up, pick your hairstyle, you choose, you take the reins and decide what you want for yourself and be as creative as you want to be. Wow, I've gone on. I could really go on about that. Therapy is very important. I think I talked about therapy for the first time maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4, and I remember being very nervous about that and wondering, what will people think? What will people think? What will people say? I now don't care. I think therapy is important. I don't think you only, oh gosh, did you guys watch the Jeannie Mai and her Mama Mai last couple of videos where they were dealing with, their relationship and some of the issues that they have? Watch that. I will link it down below. I loved it when the therapist came on, and I loved what she said. It's not just about needing therapy. You don't have to go into therapy because you need it. You could also go because you want to. You want to try and be more productive. You want to try and be more social, whatever it may be. But I think it's so important, just as long as you find the right therapist. Being financially independent and secure is important to me, as I'm sure it's important to many people. But I think sometimes women are taught to think it's okay, just kind of let the man take care of you and he will run the house and all of that. But I think, and that's what my mom taught me, I have to earn my own money. It doesn't matter if it's 50K that I'm earning, 20K that I'm earning, and my partner is earning 2 million shillings. You earn your own money. We have to learn to allow our children to have agency over their bodies, to decide who they want to hug, to have the people around them also learn how to ask for permission. Can I hug you? Can I give you a kiss on the cheek? Can I get a cuddle? Have the adults around them ask for permission, but also respect what the child says. That thing for like, go hug auntie, go hug uncle, like, and it's so like, you've got to do it, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do it, okay, fine. That's not it. And I think it's been such an important part of my parenting, so much so that when I'm, say, playing with my little one and I'm tickling her and she says, stop, even if she's laughing, and like the old Sharon would have probably just kept on tickling whoever it was, when she says stop, I stop. I do not continue. I respect what she says, and if she says stop, I stop until she says, okay, you can go on now. And I think allowing them to know that this is my body, and I decide when someone comes into my personal space and when someone has to keep away. I think if we had that growing up, there'd be a lot less shame around, coming forward when something happens. That love is love. And it's a shame that that I even have to say that we live in a world that is very judgmental, where you expressing your love for someone of the same sex is deemed as immoral, illegal in some parts of the world, like here. But I truly believe that love is love, and that two consenting adults deserve to be together if that's what they want for themselves, and that if they're in a happy and healthy relationship, then love is love, period. That it is a beautiful thing. That I believe in celebrating moments, whether that is little moments or big moments. And I love that. I love being able to, bring people together, like my family, and just like, what are we doing for Christmas or Easter or this person's birthday or this anniversary or something like that. I truly believe in that, and the importance of celebrating the little things and not having to wait for like a big thing, like a big wedding or the big graduation in order to do that. Reading is so important, and I don't want to be preachy about it, like, oh, you need to read, because I have like close friends who can't be bothered and will never, like, reading is just not their thing. But I do think I really do think that it is, well, for me at least, it's changed my life, and I hope to kind of continue to instill that culture of reading in my family, because I think of all the books that I've read that have really shifted my perspective on things and has helped shape who I am. But at the same time, I also recognize that certain shows have done that, certain movies have done that, certain articles have done that for people too. So it doesn't have to be reading books, but I just feel so strongly that reading books is a big part and should be a big part of life. At least for me, it always will be. That memories are created, and you need to be intentional about that. I listened to a podcast a year ago, maybe a couple years ago now, that really expanded my view of this. And you kind of go through life thinking that, you just have memories, I don't know, that you remember things and some things you don't remember. I particularly have a really bad memory, but I just remember I remember so clearly that the person on the podcast was talking about being able to create these memories, that they don't just happen on a whim. And sometimes they do, and that's great too. I think some of those memories are just like the best. But on many occasions, and especially as you are parenting, and you can kind of go into like oh my God, it's the same thing every day, and you kind of just go with the flow. But you need to be intentional about going on a trip, going for a walk where you're looking for butterflies, sitting down to play a board game and making that a ritual that you do every couple of weeks, watching movies together, baking. There's someone who keeps dragging something upstairs, and I hope you guys can't hear it, but it's driving me nuts. Baking cakes together, refurnishing part of your home, whatever that, painting, you know? You need to be intentional about that and creating memories and not letting life just be, because that's how a year passes and then there's nothing that you can quite remember or that stands out for you. And I loved that. That really changed how I looked at parenting, and also even with my family too and my friends, like really trying to be intentional about spending time together and doing interesting things together, going on trips together, things like that. Flowers in a room are an instant pick-me-up. As you can tell, I'm a lover of flowers. I love good flowers, and I especially love anything that has eucalyptus. So pretty. Sunscreen is a must-have. I wish I started on this sooner. And I heard about it, but I think back then there were not as many sunscreens that wouldn't leave a dark-skinned girl or black girl with a white cast, so it was harder to find the right ones, and I'd be like, meh, it's okay. They say black don't crack anyway, but that's not it. Sunscreen is a must, and right now there's so many great formulas that you can try out, like whether it is from Korean skincare brands or something like La Roche-Posay, which I particularly like. But there's a good number of sunscreens now that you don't have to worry about them leaving you with a white cast, and trust me, your skin 30 years down the line is going to thank you. I must have been talking for a minute because battery started to flash. I did change the battery, so if it looks a little different, that's why. This next one, I don't know how much I want to get into it, but I've kind of touched on it in the past, but being a mom saved my life. And you know, maybe one day down the line, I will elaborate, and I often think about that, like how much will I actually talk about my past, and sometimes I think, oh, there's no way I'm gonna go on the internet and talk about those things, and then other times I think, oh, but I think it would have a great impact, and I think it would be important, so maybe one day I will talk about it, but all I know is that my daughter saved my life, and she just is the best thing that's ever, really the best, really and truly, I'm not just saying that, like the best thing that could have happened to me, the best thing that's happened in my life. That creating boundaries is important, and especially for me being online and trying to navigate between having what's mine and just keeping some things to myself, but also giving of myself online to people that I've never met but are great and feel like a part of a community that I'm a part of and that we've created on here, but also sometimes people who will be disagreeable, or they will just not see things how I see it, or might sometimes be judgmental, might sometimes be outrightly mean or rude, and creating boundaries and trying to see what I will or will not talk about has been important for me in order to feel safe online. Some of the things I'm quite specific about not talking about, and at least for now, it is my daughter and my romantic relationships. I can talk about mothering and my motherhood experience and what I've learned and things that I've done, but for the most part, I don't talk about those two things online. Maybe one day it will change. Who knows? Oh, this is a good one. Mundia is my soulmate. For those of you who may not know, actually, because I haven't featured her on the vlog in a while, but she is my best friend. I have known her for more than half of my life? I want to say, yeah, more than half of my life I've known her, but I think she's been my best friend for over a decade, and she is my soulmate. She is my person. She is, like, even when she gets married, I feel like her partner just needs to know that, you know, like, I will see her. She may not see me as her soulmate, it's fine, but I will see her as my person for life. Ooh, this is a good one. That defining my family values was really important to me, and I don't think I would have done that had I not been in therapy and that had come up at some point. And I sat down and I wrote down what those values are. Yeah, for me, it's things like communication, accountability, or even feeling safe enough to be vulnerable with each other. But I took time to write that down, and I'm so grateful that I did, because I don't regularly go back and look at the family values, but it's so clear to me what those are for me and what matters most to me and in my family. That my home has to always feel and be a safe space. And I don't mean that like literally like burglar proofing, although yes, that too. But at the end of the day, like if someone wants to break into my house, I'm sure it's some way they'll figure out how to. But I mean that in the sense that I need for this space, actually it really is me and the people around me and people in my family, to be able to hold space for others to be their fullest selves, their most vivid selves, without any judgment, without any shutting down or minimizing, that you can be honest and that you will feel protected and loved and seen, and that matters to me. And certain words or things that feel violent, whether in words or even in actions, that's just never going to happen, and that's important to me. This might be a little controversial, but this is what I know for sure for me, and probably I should have prefaced this video by just saying these are the things that I know for sure. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I think that's pretty obvious, but I'm just gonna say it now. But anyway, spanking or hitting kids is not something that I believe in, and I used to. I absolutely thought, like, some of these kids that you see on the internet, like just running wild and running their mouths and saying the worst things about their mothers, I would just be like, you just need to spank that kid. That's what they need. I fully believed it. But I interviewed someone, I must have talked about this before on here, but I interviewed someone when I still had my show, Living with This, on NTV, and she was a child psychologist. And I remember just being like, all right, so let's talk about discipline and where spanking comes in. And she was like, oh, I don't believe spanking has any place in discipline. And I was like, that's so Western. But really, truly, so in like this setting, in like real life, where and how should you spank? Like, I was just so mind blown that she was like, no, I really don't think that is an approach that should be used. And from that interview, I started researching, and funny enough, you know how like when you start thinking about something and suddenly like the universe is, all they do is just send you like podcasts and articles and videos on this topic. And it completely shifted how I look at disciplining my child. I don't believe that is an appropriate way to try and get them to do the right thing, because I think ultimately that's what we want. And even that, what is the right thing? That is just, right thing for me may not be the right thing for you, and right thing for me may not be the right thing for my mom or my daughter. Who knows? But there are just so many layers to this, and I don't know if I want to get into all of them, but part of it was usually when parents are hitting their child, it's never like a well thought out process. It's usually instinctive. It's usually, how dare you do that to me? It's me you're going to talk to like that, me? So, and that kind of ego flaring up, it's not what I think we should be parenting from. It really is about like, what is the best thing for you at this moment? And how do we get you to understand that versus I'm just going to spank you so hard. And some of the things that we went through in high school, in primary school, for me it was primary school. In high school, teachers didn't hit us. But in primary school, the things that I went through and the things that I've heard that happened in high school, and there's a lot of adults taking advantage of the fact that they can hit children. And another thing for me, I'm really going into it, but another thing for me is, how then do you explain to a child as they grow up why certain people can hit you and certain people can't? How do you draw that line? So why is it that your mother can hit you as an adult, or your father can, hit you as an adult, but your partner can't? Because surely you can argue on, aren't we all trying to show you the right way? And I mean, I'm really getting into it. And I think this should be a different conversation, because I'm not sure I'm going to fully express myself in the right way. But spanking is not a form of discipline that I believe in. Midi dresses are where it's at. I'm actually wearing one right now. I love a good midi dress, and sneakers too, sneakers. It's important to switch off and to be intentional about it too, to schedule it out, and that could mean switching off at the end of the day and really taking time for yourself if you're just trying to unwind, or with your family, or if that even means every couple of weeks trying to give yourself like a full day that is like work free or tech free. But we're always on the go, that I think we need to be more intentional now, more than any other generation, I would say. That I'm blessed, and I think sometimes I forget that, but I have my health, and my family is healthy, and I've got a roof over my head, education for my little one, health insurance, like the main things are there. And sometimes it's so easy to get wound up by other things, and I think that's valid too in whatever feelings we have in that moment. But I'm really lucky and I'm really blessed to be able to sit here in this moment as a 32-year-old and know that the core things for me are settled, that I've got my loved ones and I've got my health. Traveling is an essential part of my being, and it just like rejuvenates me. I really do love traveling, and I'm especially grateful that because of the pandemic that I'm going to take more time to explore this country, because I think I was looking a lot to the other 199 countries out there, 98, I don't know how many countries there are, maybe 202, maybe, whatever. But now I get to explore this country, and I love that. Beyonce is unmatched. I don't know if I said that in my other video, the one that I talked about 30 things I know for sure, now that I'm 30. I will link that in the description box for you. But I think we all know that she is unmatched. This is not a debate for sure. Please, guys, let's not go there. The other day I was at the gym and busy working out, trying to get my reps in, and then I look in the mirror and I see a woman in Ivy Park in the pink set. Woo! Let me tell you how I was like, come on, yeah, to the left. I really did feel like Beyonce was in the room with me and I had to show up for her. I love it. Women deserve better, whether that's around economic empowerment or agency over their body and sexuality, money and funding, education. Women deserve better. It's okay to let people go or cut them out completely. And I actually recently I was telling a friend of mine about a really toxic friendship that I had at the start of my career, like in content creation, and how it took me forever to walk away from that, because I felt very much that she had the power, and she had the power to really just cancel me in this industry. And it took me a long time to be comfortable in knowing that I am my own person, that I do not need her approval, and that I can absolutely cut her off, and I do not need to have any engagement with her. And I don't think that works for everybody, and I don't think that has to be the solution for every situation that you have, but I think it is also very important to know when to cut people off and to literally just walk away and be very clear that there are boundaries and they're not allowed to cross that. It took a minute for me to realize that, but it was one of the most liberating things the minute I knew that I do not have to have a relationship with this woman, because she was very mean girl, and mean girl in a very sly way. And I respected her and I looked up to her. So by the time I realized that I not only admired and respected her, but now I was scared of her and the things that she would do or say about me. Oh God, it had been a long time, and I was so under her thumb, I didn't know how to get out, but I did. And moral of the story, it's important to cut people out sometimes. And maybe that person is even you being cut off, and maybe that's okay too. That's a little ouch. But you know what? That's okay too. That's okay too. That's okay too. If someone doesn't feel that you serve them, that is their prerogative, and that's okay. Kenya would be unmatched if Shefal Korea was our president. I think about that a lot, actually. I'm not even sure if she if she wants to run for president. But I think about it a lot, and I kind of offer it up as a prayer to the universe and to God, just, just make it happen somehow. But if we had Shefa Okore as our president in Kenya, unmatched. My mom is a cool person, and obviously everyone else in my family is a cool person. My dad, my brother, my sister, everyone's a cool person, okay? But I think specifically in this season, I'm so aware of how much she's changed and how much she's grown and how much work she's put into the changes and the shifts that she's had in her life. And I'm just so proud of her, and I think she's just a cool person. That I'm gonna make mistakes in my parenting journey, and I just need to accept that in as much as I'm trying to do so much and reading that and taking that class and speaking to friends and reading that book and listening to that podcast, and I think I am such an evolved parent. But there's things that I'm doing that I know will be frustrating, hurtful, and even though that's not my intention, that still will be the result. And I'm just hoping to do my best, but also making peace with my best may not still be perfect, and that's okay, but I want to do my best. I don't want that to be an excuse. Last but not least, it's something that I've said many times. It's something that is tattooed on my body, across my ribs, and that is, I know for sure that I'm destined to live an amazing life. I know that with my being. I feel that viscerally. I remember at some point last year crying on my kitchen floor, like on my knees, crying, bawling my eyes out, and texting a friend to say that I feel so powerful. Like I feel so great and worthy and loved, and I'm so grateful. Like I know in my heart that my life is meant to be a beautiful life. I know it. Sometimes I might forget it, okay? And I might need a friend or two to remind me, because we're human. Sometimes I might just be like, what is the point of this? I don't understand. But deep down, I know that I'm meant to have a beautiful life. And I know that we all are. It's not just me. I know that we all are deserving of that marvelous life. And that's what I wish for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said before, in my description box, you will find a link to the Skillshare premium membership offer. It's a trial period, so you'll have some time to test it out, and it's available to the first 1,000 people who sign up. So check that out, and I wish you all the best in your creative journey and in your life and just everything. And just remember again that you are worthy and you are deserving and you are meant to live a fabulous life. Believe that. Own it. Remind yourself that. Tattoo it on your body if you need to, like I did. Or maybe not. You don't have to do that. Don't do it. But thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Bye.